Hello, welcome to my presentation. To own or not to own, that is the question. The value of owning a fully automated vehicle. I am Zia Wadud from the Institute for Transport Studies at the University of Leeds, and my co-author for this paper was Fani Kumar Chittakayala. As we all know, one of the major uncertainties related to the impacts of autonomous vehicles is whether these vehicles will be owned in future like we own a vehicle now, or whether these vehicles will be used as shared use vehicles. For example, like automated Uber or automated Uber pool type services in the future. Now we know that in terms of car ownership, convenience is one of the major factors. However, the term convenience has never been defined precisely, although it is discussed in the context of public transportation often, and convenience, or rather inconvenience, is expressed as additional wait time, transfer time between two modes, crowding in a public transport, delay in the public transport, or reliability of those services. And these terms in the context of public transport has often been valued like we value travel time, similar to VTTS. However, the value of convenience for owning a vehicle or the inherent attractiveness of owning a vehicle has never been quantified. And we can imagine that outside of wait time, travel time, journey cost, the typical generalized travel cost elements, ownership of a vehicle can have some added value or inherent attractiveness. And a big example in the context of ownership versus these automated mobility services could be, for example, having a child seat. So in an owned vehicle, I can have the child seat or the child car seat in the car all the time. But if we are using one of those Uber type services, then every time we get into Uber, we need to get that car seat with us. And the same example can be given for golf equipment, which we can leave in the car boot overnight, but we cannot do that for an Uber type service. Even having an owned car sitting outside in the driveway can have some added mental peace and thus provide some convenience or be relatively more attractive for the ownership option, right? So it is important to, if we could value these ownership somehow, and that can be useful in understanding the share of ownership and shared use type vehicles in the context of automated vehicles in future. So our question is, what is the convenience value of owning a vehicle after controlling the regular factors such as cost, travel time, wait time, reliability, the generalized travel cost type elements? So we are basically interested in valuing the rest of convenience or the value of inherent attractiveness of ownership. But at the same time, because we are also dealing with shared use type vehicles, you could also say whether there is a relative inconvenience for pooled type services compared to an exclusive use type shared service. In terms of methods, I will not be showing you any figures. We have used simple choice experimentation with a sample size of 800. We have chosen 3 alternatives: privately owned automated vehicle, exclusive use automated ride services. So think about an automated Uber, pooled or shared use automated ride services. Think about automated Uber pool type services. And we have used a choice experimentation. So our utility of an alternative is a function of attributes of these alternatives, these 3 alternatives above, and the characteristics of the decision maker. And the attributes we have used are trip costs, wait time, delay, and reliability. So basically, we gave the combination of these 4 attributes to our sample of 800, and we asked people to choose one of these 3 alternatives, and then we have run a regression. So the way we have interpreted is the alternative specific constant in this equation. There will be a constant generally. We have interpreted that the alternative specific constants represent the rest of convenience or the inherent attractiveness of that alternative. And the value of that convenience or the value of that inherent attractiveness is the alternative specific constant divided by the trip cost parameter multiplied by some conversion factors, which is mentioned in detail in the paper. So in terms of the results, so this is basically the utility of the alternative depends on these various factors. The factor we are most interested in are the alternative specific constant here and the alternative specific constant for ownership and the alternative specific constant for pool services. Remember, these are relative to the exclusive use ride services, okay? So what this means is a positive value means that the ownership is relatively more attractive compared to the exclusive use shared service. And for the pool service, the negative value means that the pool automated ride service is less preferred compared to exclusive use automated ride services, all right? And the value of these convenience of ownership or the value of maybe inconvenience for pool services are determined by the ratio of this value and this value for ownership and this value for the shared or pooled type ride services. So when we convert these estimation parameters, what we find is that mean value of inherent attractiveness of ownership for women relative to exclusive use ride services is 2,020 pounds annually. Interestingly, men value ownership less than women to the point that they're indifferent about ownership and exclusive use rights. Currently, those who own a vehicle, they have a lower, currently, those who do not own a vehicle have a lower valuation of ownership that is expected. Currently, those who are vehicle owners, but who do not have free parking at home, they also have a lower valuation for ownership. In terms of pooled ride services, again, in comparison to exclusive use ride services, the mean value of inconvenience is around 3,700 pounds annually. And the currently public transport users, this inconvenience value is slightly less because possibly they are used to using shared type services, okay? However, it is important to note that there is substantial heterogeneity in both of these valuations. The implications of these results are explained through this figure, but they're explained better in the paper. Because of the short time, I won't get into that today. Please have a look at the paper. Thank you very much for listening.